am Essence, a participant of Hudson Guild's Teen Services, and this is HGPC Hudson Guild Podcast.
Hey guys, welcome to HGPC Hudson Guild Podcast. Today we are here with a special guest, actor, athlete, writer, and 2018 Miss Pakistan winner, Zaira. Woo! Yes.
She's bad, bro.
You're supposed to say hi now. Now, Angel,
All right.
Where's our applause? Where's the applause?
She's so bad at it.
Woo! That's not the applause.
Yes, it is.
It's so low.
There's better applause.
Philip, you're gonna have to do something.
Yes.
Doing it again?
What?
No, that was great. They love the messiness.
I was Indian, and they came to the States when they were 5 and 6 years old. I was born and raised here in New York, born in Queens, raised there to a point, then moved out to Long Island, and then went around states and the world.
That's amazing. Sounds like a nice fun little show. Okay.
I was really overwhelmed and really lazy about the college process in high school. I was actually super disillusioned by it. I just wasn't feeling school anymore in 11th and 12th grade, and I ended up cutting out of school a lot and just hung out outside, went to the beach, because Long Island's pretty much a beach, and thought that college was just going to be another extension of a lot of topics to study with no real course or direction. My parents wanted me to be a doctor, and I just resented that idea my entire life. So I aimed for college to be a successful idea, but the problem is that I didn't follow through with it. Like, I didn't do all of my applications on time. I didn't even take an SAT course. Like, I didn't do the stuff that everyone was planning out and doing, and I was watching around me because I just didn't have it in me. I just wanted to go party and do whatever I wanted to do. Then I got into some schools that my parents were like, this isn't like an Ivy school. This isn't a successful school. So I said, all right, then screw it. I'm not going to college. And then they forced me to apply to Stony Brook. So I applied to Stony Brook. I got in, and I said, all right, I guess that's what we're doing. So I just prepared to get there.
Oh, wow.
Then when I got there, I went into the pre-med program, and like, this isn't a sexy story, I'm telling you. It gets better, but it didn't start out this way. I got into the pre-med program, and I wanted to just still party and hang out. Then I met what would be my just about 4-year relationship boyfriend the second month of college.
Well, you guys
This is where everything goes downhill.
What?
Yeah.
In all 4 years you guys graduated together?
Uh-huh.
Oh, no, guys.
Story.
It's 4.
He was super conservative. Pakistani Muslim, yeah. Great reaction, because that's the truth. I
bet you brought it to me. It was like
His looks are not important.
It's kind of like the dream, like you
Out
want
of 10.
to.
Out of 10, like, really looking?
You
no,
don't.
I have to give him credit.
Oh.
Looking back at it, very good looking. Like, he undersold himself on that idea. Like, I doubt he's doing that now. I'm 31, so a lot of what?
We thought you were still in your 20s. You're lying.
We were over here like trying to. We were like, wait, how old is she? She's even asked this question. Like,
31.
what?
Wow. Okay.
That is not what we expected.
No, literally.
Well, now you can ask me up to 31 questions.
Okay.
At that age, I just had I had relationships since I was like 14. I had 2 majors and 3 minors in college.
What the hell?
Yeah.
How in the world?
Yeah, she stated that.
Schedule?
I petitioned the school to take 24 credits one semester, but I maxed out with 21 credits per semester, which is just about like 6 to 7 courses. And I got
That's
really
so
obsessed. But then also, it was me who decided to take on all of those studies, and it was me who decided to.
You did all the work.
Yeah, and I took up a lot of different activities. I had a lot of time to grow up and mature. So I give him the credit for giving me that environment. But people ask me, do you feel like you missed the college experience? I made up for it in grad school. all of it.
I'm in my question for you is, how do you feel about, because like I know like, okay, like I've had a questionable history as like a teenager or whatever, and like I do a bunch of crazy stuff according to my parents. So how do you feel about like discipline and like just like how you put this label on a kid, right? And they're like supposedly called like this bad kid, or like they're labeled as like, or like just like a troubled teenager, right? How do you feel about that labeled as troubled teen?
I was a troubled teenager, according to everyone and my school. And I beat all of them out the water with my whole life. I'll go back to my high school. I'll go to every professor and tell them how I'm bigger and better. I'm sorry, I'm just shameless about that. Shameless.
Saying the truth.
As you should be.
Yeah, and some, like I had, how do I start with this one? Alright. If you raise your kids right, and not raise your kids right by manners and restrictions and with bullying and with any kind of abuse, with love.
Yeah, give them moral.
Yeah, like if you're a right person and you're well equipped to raise a child, and people know, people aren't stupid. I'm 31 and my brother has kids, people have kids. I'm seeing people have kids now and I'm like, I know who you were.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're not stupid. You know very well what kind of person you're gonna be as a parent. And if you don't, you haven't woken up yet. So for people who are parents, if you're gonna go raise your kids, make the decision to raise your kids, and then label your kids as a bad egg, etc., finds out you're already manifesting and calling that future on them, telling them that they're not able to be saved. I was like, I was told that by my parents from 9th through 12th grade, and I've lived it. Then I said, clearly I can't do anything right, so I won't do anything right. And that was the status quo. Because I knew damned if you do, damned if you don't. If I tried to be good, they're like, oh, look at you trying from a failed state. Like, I never started off failed.
You put me here. And then when you try, they're like, oh, look at you.
Yeah, like...
So it's like, what's the point of me trying?
Yeah, and if parents are so mad, you're so mad at your kid, look at yourself. How can you approach that situation differently and find out maybe that other kid has their own universe and they're the center of their own the way that you're the center of your own.
Right, and they forget, I feel like parents forget that their children have lives.
Yeah.
And that their children have their own experiences.
Yeah.
And like things that they go through that change how they act, change what they go, like... Everything, all the decisions that they make.
Yeah, and every kid won't tell you what's going on in their lives simply because they don't have to.
Right.
Yeah. Nobody does. It's not like all parents tell kids what's going on and that they don't do the same thing.
It's not like you've lied to your whole life.
But I also
It's
feel
going
like
on
when it
anyways.
comes to like parenting and like parenthood, there's like this weird like sense of like having titles or like I don't know what the word is. Or like I keep on thinking of like reward. Like there's a reward system behind it. Like I don't want you to mess up as my kid because then it's gonna be put back onto me. And it's gonna be like, oh, what did I do wrong? And I can't.
They'll be like, oh,
that
people are gonna
because
think
it
this,
makes
people are
me
gonna
look
think
bad.
that.
And it's like a rewarding system. If my child looks good, then people are gonna think that I'm like a good parent. If my child does bad, they're gonna come back to me saying, what did you do wrong as a kid? So no parent wants to be guilty of their child's future, but parents have a hard time accepting that sometimes they don't have control over their child's future, regardless if it was good or bad. I think they just don't want to look bad at the end, which comes off as like, I don't know, cocky.
One person. I know parents are always like comparing themselves and like comparing like other people, maybe older siblings, like compares me to her. She'll be like, oh, like when I was little, I was like this. I was like, all my teachers knew me, all my teachers like me, all this. And I'm like, girl, I'm not you. Nor will I ever be you.
Yeah.
Sure, you made me, and like I do have some qualities where I'm like, we are similar. We are pretty similar because I came from you. But it's like, we're not the same, and I've had different experiences, and I act differently because of I was raised in a completely different environment, and that's just what happens.
Right.
The way you lead your life has... Oh, yeah. The way that you lead your life should have no reflection on the way that you're going to love and take care of your parents until they die. It's like I try to lead my life in this way, and I'm saying I'm trying because it's not successful. As success is like it changes every year. I try to lead my life in such a way where it's all about giving love. And if in the event I'm not giving love and I'm giving something else, okay, I'm going through something. And then I just forgive myself and find my way right back. And that's it.
Me like you. I like that.
I have a question. Because I know you talked about bullying and like and being in a private school and going through a lot in your high school life. And I want to know if you can go back in time and you can tell something to your younger self during those hardships and that hard time you went through. What would it be? Or do you think it would change like your ugly duckling syndrome or like your mentality at the time? And if not, then why not?
Yeah, I would have told myself I'm enough. Like, I would have absolutely told myself when I was younger that I'm enough and I don't have to compare myself to everybody else. That would have been enough to hear. I was growing up in a school system where everyone was in competition with each other. And then there was like, oh, let me tell you, what's happening right now for your generation, they're so lucky. You're so lucky that you're going through trends of body positivity. You're going through trends of absolute acceptance. You have people on the stages that are saying, screw everyone, I'm gonna do what I wanna do. I know that there are other things that are unlucky about what you're all going through that I won't ever understand. What I can see as lucky though is that I feel like part of you is liberated now.
Yeah. 100%.
90s, early 2000s, hell.
Yeah.
People were going on crash diets. I was forced to go on different diets from word of mouth. I would say, force I'll use lightly. Rather, I'll say that my family was bullying enough to tell me I was always fat, but then feeding me at the same time. Like, well, choose the one battle.
Yeah.
Either starve
One or
me.
the other.
Yeah.
Right.
Because I don't have the money. Like, I'm not the one buying
the
it.
food.
Yeah, the Dunkaroos didn't show up.
I didn't get them from the store. You bought them.
So choose the venom. Like either feed me really well, parent, or you buy me the McDonald's, the Dunkaroos, the everything else, and then bully me in my weight. So there was, and then the whole world had something to say.
Yes.
It was like low-rise jeans, this, that, and then you just had to be that at that age. And so I grew up really quick by shaming myself because the culture around me shamed me. So I'd have to tell myself that I was enough.
It's kind of sad because I hear a lot of adults now talking about how they're still trying to like overcome that. I forgot who that line is from, but that line saying that somebody said, like, it's nothing is better than feeling skinny after you skipped a meal. And there are some people talking about that on TikTok. Yeah, and they were saying that they still to this day, like they haven't overcome that. She's a very famous model. And she has a daughter now, she's also very famous. But yeah, and a lot of people were talking about that, how they still have not overcome that traumatic experience of starving themselves in their teenage years because of this single line. And it was very traumatic. And it's funny because I think about my mom. My mom is always going through the cycle of always like wanting to lose weight and stuff like that. But my mom is good enough to not project it on me as much as they project it on her. Like sometimes she'll just tell me to like, I have to keep my figure and stuff like that. But for herself, like she'll be extra hard on herself.
Yeah.
So she still like lets me wear whatever I want and lets me really do whatever I want now, because she's more accepting that the times have changed, but she still has that towards herself and the people around her.
It kind of reminds me of like comments that I've been seeing on like videos where girls come out about things that they've like kind of not subjected themselves to, but like society subjects us to, like wanting to be skinnier or like whitewashing ourselves for like the media. People are like, oh well, no one's forcing you to do that. No one's like holding a gun to you. No one's saying this. No one forced you to do it. But it's society that like they implement these things. I'm so sorry. They implement these things on us, and it's like, even though we're not being forced to, like we want to conform to the standard. Because, like we low key are being forced to. Like I don't know how to explain it, but like I remember seeing those comments, and it's like you wouldn't understand because like it's literally a white male trying to tell me about how like, oh, I've been whitewashing myself my entire life and like trying to fit into a certain social standard, or like trying to gain weight and trying to be skinnier, like all of these things. Like you literally can't win. Like everything
you fit into your own category.
Exactly.
Yes.
Like and it
like,
takes a while to like get to yourself and fit into like who you really are, and even then, it's still gonna bother you. It's still gonna follow you, like all those years away.
Yeah, the entire process was so. Forgive me. It was so comical.
Really?
Entirely comical. It's comical to me in one sense, and then not so comical in another. I'm just saying the truth. I have nothing to lose with that much.
How'd you get there?
How'd you
Yeah.
get nominated? Like, how does that work?
The organizer, she reached out to me and said, would you like to run for this? And then I sort of dubbed the idea and the opportunity for a year or two, and then she reached out again. I was like, okay, sure, I'll do it. Few things politically behind this. I'm half Indian, half Pakistani. Both the countries are at war. One was created by way of the other. Pakistan was partitioned from India and made into its own state because there was a lot of infighting in India happening at the time. And I share both those identities. Actually, my parents had to run away when they got married in the States, even though they were here, because they were Indian and Pakistani.
Yeah, so like they're against each other kind of.
Yeah. And so going from Miss Pakistan USA, somewhat part of it was comical to me because I'm like, oh, what's so Indian? You know? I had blonde hair, I was doing my own life and I was just having fun, and I told my best friend Hari, and I was like, dude, let me just do this. Like, let me just take a shot
Just
and
for
go
funsies.
for it. Yeah, literally.
Yeah, just for funsies, just to be like, hee hee hee.
Yeah, there are some people
And be
who-
pretty.
Yeah. I think that the only reason I won, because I wasn't like, I'm not one of those people that's really good at collectives. Like, there's a lot of girls that are like, we're gonna all chat and hang out and talk, and if I know that they're not the ones I can vibe with
Yeah.
and just be real with, then I'm going to my hotel room. Like, I was always that person my whole life, right? If I can hang, if I can hang and we can be honest, we can be real and enjoy life, so be it. But if I feel like something's off and it's just not, I gotta hold face, I gotta go. And so I didn't really hang out with all of the girls there. I just went to compete and kind of went back to my hotel room.
Like that's it.
So you competed and beat it all them? Like, how did that?
I guess the audience decided, because I was just honest. That's about it. Like, I did a boxing thing for the talent part, because at that time I was training for amateur boxing, and I had my boxing coach, like, my boxing trainer at that time, just throw some mitts at me on stage, and for South Asian women, it's like, oh my god, she's
boxing.
Yeah.
So they voted for you? Is that how it works? Like
Yeah.
majority votes?
Yeah, and then I just gave a speech and I was like, I did all of these accomplishments in my life, and I have tattoos, and
You're like, I'm cool.
yeah.
Pick me.
But in my community, most of the people don't. It's
Yeah.
haram. It's like you can go to hell if you have tattoos.
Yeah.
My body is a collage. Me? Miss Pakistan USA, the most they can say about that title is, if you want to give me that and you want to respect me for that, then respect that every woman can live her life how she wants to in the US as a South Asian, and don't restrict anyone, because we're in the United States. And I was born and bred on this soil as a Pakistani woman, so I'm going to take my liberal democracy and live it.
Good, as you should.
So that's what I could hold for that.
Wow.
Alrighty. We also did more research, and we saw that you are interested in cybersecurity, and that you're like the head of some cybersecurity, or like you run something.
Oh,
What does that mean? Please
Yeah,
elaborate.
yes. Fashion majors, art majors, we don't
Alright.
know.
Yeah, we don't know anything about.
You want to
We're like
fun story?
computers.
I studied in college. I did political science and English as my majors, and for my minors I did international relations, writing, and anthropology, so all social sciences. Yeah, you know what was really cool about everything I put together? I got to study and read a lot of poetry. I'm a poet, so that's what I do.
There are a lot of things.
You're a lot of
various things, but
Yoga, everything.
I hold on to that one really close to my chest, poetry, but I'll say that I did what I wanted to do. I left pre-med and I did that. Now, I had some insane mentorship from professors who knew I cared a lot in college, and they all pretty much asked me to go deeper into everything that I was doing. And one of them, Professor Rose, J. Rose, and Professor Chris Kessler started to teach me a lot more into international relations, and I started to take like courses like weapons of mass destruction, things like that, by the end of my undergraduate and taking graduate courses. And I really fell in love with military strategy and human securities. What that means is, like, in conflict states, like war zones, how do you protect the civilian? Just started, curiosity brings you to random places, poetry and then warfare. Like, it was just the two things that I really enjoyed
That's
studying.
that's great.
Yeah, random. You know, not what my parents wanted.
It's
Yeah, I was gonna
different
say,
things lead
how
you to
did-
different paths.
How do the people around you take that? Because you know, as a woman, you're not really allowed to like anything. So every time somebody hears a smart sounding subject, they're just like, you like that?
They're like, give me 5 facts about it.
This is why I fear being a woman in STEM.
I was gonna say, but when you said cybersecurity, I'm like, so like viruses.
Yeah, I'll show you how that happens. Actually, there are some, oh my gosh, brilliant women around the world. When you start to put yourself into circles that don't accept you, you start to find the other people that aren't accepted in the same circles, just like high school all over again. And most of the time, and powerful positions, they're women. And then, if they can get past their own insecurities of competing with one another, they'll find how powerful they are.
Right.
So, that will always exist. Always exist. So, I went to graduate school. I went to GW for security policy, and that's where I studied conflict analysis and went into a securities program with a bunch of military vets and people on their GI Bill for education. Learned a lot about the history of warfare, learned a lot about conflict zones, went to do my capstone, which is like you can do a thesis or a capstone when you finish graduate school, which is basically you write a lot, or you go live what you say you're going to do.
Oh.
So I said I'm going to go live what I do. I went to Colombia, and then I studied anti-human trafficking there in Medellin, and worked with an NGO on that. And after that ended, I went to act on television for a show that was created based on some of the things that I learned how to do along the way, which is more private investigator stuff. And that all includes something called social media analysis. We all do that every day when we stop people. I just happen to do it professionally. So that's it.
So you do what half of the girls in our school do really well, but like professionally.
But then
And
I
you
had
get paid for
technology.
it.
But then I had technology too. So that's what.
And you actually have have the technology that you can use.
Now we know who to find and who to tell.
Yes, I'm gonna be like, can you find this person for me?
Yeah.
I'm gonna send you everybody.
That plus other things like regional due diligence, adding all of the equation together. Now the story speeds up to this. I was trying to find job after job, just trying to survive, picked up a bunch of skills along the way, and then the fourth dimension of warfare is called cyber warfare, is what they would say.
Automation.
And so that includes propaganda, things like that. It's all based on mental warfare. Yeah, exactly. So I started to study that deeper, and then that brought me into this whole world. And what am I doing today now? I run my own consulting business, because being a part of large bureaucratic organizations doesn't fit me well.
Valentine's Day.
Okay. Women take advantage of Valentine's Day. Final thoughts on relationships generally. This goes out to all women of all ages. Be with somebody who earns your time. Hi, my name is Zaira Pirzada, and this is the Hudson Guild Podcast.
2, 1.
Hi, my name is Zaira Pirzada, and this is the HGPC Hudson Guild Podcast. Come join us for a juicy conversation.
Can you stop? One last thing. Muchísimas gracias por escuchar el Hudson Guild Podcast. Buenas noches.
I know that's right. But Philip is doing amazing.